All right, so I checked out a brand new 2025 found footage horror film called The Hem. And this is about a documentary film crew that's investigating a haunted church in Texas. And of course, they end up going to the church, and the guy who takes them there is like, all right, you have a certain limited window of time that you're allowed to be here. You just got to be out by then. And so, they go and investigate around, and of course, things go wrong for them. This is a frustrating one for me because I feel like it had a lot of the ingredients to make a good found footage film, but it really botched a lot of them, and it ended up being pretty lame, unfortunately. So, it had really nice cameras. So it definitely had the equipment to make a good looking found footage film. Not that you even need really good stuff, right? You can film it on nothing basically and make an even more effective found footage sometimes. Blair Witch or whatever, right? But they had the equipment. They had a budget to put into the cameras and whatnot. The film shot pretty well. There's some fairly effective shots at times. There's some creepy imagery here and there that I was like, okay, that's cool. It gets a little repetitive, but that's okay. It's got a clean image, as I said, and I think that the shots are good. Like, it doesn't have a ton of like shaky cam, that kind of stuff that can get over annoying. It has like no glitches. I'll give the movie that credit for sure. It's all pretty clean imagery, which is super nice. One of the main girls, the character Anne, the girl who plays her, is absolutely drop dead gorgeous. And as far as like the actors go, like, I felt like mostly everyone was pretty fine. Like, it varied. I think there was some people that were better than others, but the naturalness of them, which is always very important for these found footage films, was fine, was good. I think it was adequate, right? I think they had all the adequate measures. They also had a good location, this like church setting that they had. I think there was some cool stuff in there, and then they had like the dresses, the hem, and all that stuff. That looked good. That was all fine and well. And also, really quick note, the dad from Troll 2 is in this movie. So that was pretty wild. I haven't seen him ever outside of that and then the Troll 2 documentary. So it was really cool to see him here. I know he's a dentist. I don't know if he's retired or not, but it was cool to see him in something else other than Troll 2. So let's get to the bad. Okay. Number one, the story. As far as like the lore goes, they didn't explore this like at all. They kind of just they like go around and they interview some people in town and they're asking about the church and no one wants to talk about it. Real classic kind of setup. And then they get there and they don't really talk about much. It's like, you're making a documentary. Like, let's explore this. Let's dive deep into the lore. Like, when you're setting up some haunted church that has some dark history that no one wants to talk about it. I mean, I guess one of the issues here, of course, is, which they wrote into it, is that they don't know a ton and they're trying to figure it out, I guess, is the excuse. But, watch the Blair Witch Project. Watch fucking all sorts of different found footage films. The lore is one of the best parts of supernatural found footage. Getting into the lore, seeing what these filmmakers can create, because that's all part of the atmosphere and the ambiance, and all of that stuff is setting the stage. You can say anything. I love the lore behind the Blair Witch Project. I love the stuff at Coffin Rock and the stuff with Rustin Parr and all in the Seven Kids, the Burkittsville Seven, and like, I love all that stuff. That stuff, I can feast on that stuff, right? They've made tons of books and all sorts of shit and sequels to the Blair Witch based purely off in video games, off of that lore that they set up in the first film. So the lore in this is super lacking. The characters in this are very lacking, very one-dimensional. There's nothing really to say about them, other than, as I said, the one girl's gorgeous. The other girl's good looking too, but this one girl, oh my good God, she's very, very pretty. So that was lame. Number 2, guys, fuck. How many times do I have to say this? If you're gonna make a found footage movie, just make a fucking found footage movie. Enough with these inserts of regular footage like a film. Stop it with this. There's zero reason for it here. None at all. They cut back, so it's like the footage we're watching from the police department, and then it will give us scenes with the detectives as they're talking to one another, and it's shot like a regular movie. But it's weird because at first you think maybe it's found footage because it's handheld for some weird reason. Because, like, the handheld gives you the illusion that it's found footage, right? Which I think is done on purpose. But then there's a couple stationary freaking tripod shots. I don't know. Regardless, like, they're in a police department. There's security cameras, right? Or you have them recording themselves for posterity or for, like, evidence or whatever. There's no reason to not have them filming this. Use their fucking body cams if they're cops. I know that detectives don't sit there and wear body cams. That's more of like a beat cop fucking kind of cop. But regardless, you can come up with something. To film this regular is so annoying. No found footage fan wants the fucking hybrid bullshit. Just get it out of here, okay? So 0 out of 10 on that one. That shit is annoying, and it doesn't make any sense. And plus, those scenes are totally lame, and I don't even need them, to be completely honest. They're not even necessary to the film for me. Moving past that, or you can just do it a documentary style, like it's a mockumentary, like, you know, the footage that's found. Watch Strange Harvest, watch fucking Grave Encounters, watch. You can do it and still keep it found footage. Fuck. Number 2, another huge mistake here, because it's found footage. There's music. They added a soundtrack. There's music that plays. There's eerie tones and all this shit. And no. You can do that in a mockumentary. You cannot do that in a fucking found footage film. Unless that footage was edited together. But typically, no. You don't do the music. You don't do that shit. Right? And then there's, as I said, the lore is lacking. The characters are lacking. The setup is actually okay. Like when you get the setup and they're filming people and they're going around and they're interviewing, and that gets, you know, that gets a stage set. And I'm like, okay, cool. We're going the Blair Witch route. That's fine with me. Let's follow these guys. Very typical, very classic, very tropey. And then there's some decent shots with this wedding dress entity that's around. That looks okay. There's some pretty terrible CGI in here. And yeah, that stuff is lame. CGI, once again, naturalism. I know that certain times you can't, like, burn down a building or whatever, right? So you use, like, fake fire. Or, blood is never okay. You should never use CGI blood for any reason. And I've seen a lot of found footage films do this. Terrible. Don't do that. There's also even a couple shots that are unexplainable within the found footage, right? Like where there's, like, all of a sudden, like, close-up shots from a different angle. No, you can't do that either, right? I guess if the filmmaker's watching, you can do whatever you want, but you're just going to piss off found footage fans, right? So the people who are going to watch a movie like this, a lower budgeted found footage film, they have very specific rules that they do not budge on. And for good reason, because it just doesn't work. Found footage films are all about their authenticity. It's supposed to feel like you found footage. That is literally in the title of the subgenre. You fucking stumbled upon a tape in the woods and you threw it in your player and it's like somebody filmed it on their camera. That's a found footage film. You can't insert fucking music and you can't fucking cut to like detectives sitting around a table talking about bullshit. Doesn't work. It doesn't fucking work. There are very rare exceptions to the rule, but they have to be in extremely good films. Anyway, I'm sorry I'm beating a dead horse here, but I feel like this one had potential. It had potential. It didn't work out. It's not terrible. It's not terrible. But it's a huge missed opportunity, in my opinion. Good location, good actors for this kind of project. It's a low budget found footage film. I don't expect great acting. I expect fine, serviceable acting. And they were that. They were totally fine. Some were better than others, as I said. Anyway, I'm not going to repeat myself. That's that. The Hem. You can check it out if you want. It's available to rent. Let me know.